Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the work session for the Mayor and City Council for Thursday, December 14th, 2023. If I could, would Pastor Leach come up and open us in prayer? That was a surprise ask. I didn't.
That's 4 years. That's 4 years. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for just allowing us to be together on this beautiful day to work on your city. God, we at all times recognize that to be responsible for people is a big deal, and that you don't take it lightly, so neither do we. We ask, God, as we go through this meeting, that we'll do things that are important and productive for your children, and that we would keep that in mind. In your Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. I will tell you, for those of you who have heard, we did have a bomb threat here in the city at the synagogue earlier this morning, and we've just been notified that the bomb dogs are arriving to sniff the area. It is what I've been told, it was a low threat, but it was, the Tupelo Airport also got one. I think there have been 8 across the state, but from what I've heard from law enforcement so far, that ours was the only synagogue that was listed, but it is the synagogue that's just up here on, what is that, 2nd? Yes. So the bomb sniffing dogs have just arrived. There's several streets that are blocked off in that area right now, and hopefully we'll have a resolution to that very soon. In the meantime, we need to keep all these areas in our thoughts and prayers. Council, do y'all have any remarks before we get started? If not, we have a video from Third Eye Video Cameras, a demonstration from Eric Smith, is that correct? And this was a follow-up from our last meeting so that the council can see the video and the mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, and staff. Again, my name is Eric Smith, Ingram Equipment Company, and this is Mallory Edwards, also with Ingram. And we are back. I believe, and I'm sure that you guys have had many restless and sleepless nights wondering about whether you should pursue this Third Eye camera system. So we came back with more ammunition. So what we'd like to do today that we didn't get a chance to do last time is show a brief clip of a video or an example of a video that we were not able to show last time. This one in particular is the City of Oxford, which is one of our customers. And this is a brief 3-minute clip that you will show an incident that happened real time that the Third Eye camera system was actually able to capture. And what we like to do is show that, as well as kind of show you some of the customizational features that the Third Eye camera brings as well, to kind of give you a better idea of what you can and what you're able to do with that system. So what I'll do is I'll pass this on to Mallory, and she'll show you this clip. And if, of course, if you have any questions afterwards, we'll be happy to answer those as well. So.
And before I hit play, City of Oxford gave us this clip and allowed us to show you all what the cameras can see. We don't always just show customers videos.
Can you pause it for 1 second? I did want to mention one thing before we get to the event. As you can tell, as I mentioned, this is a 3-minute clip, but it actually lets you know when the event is actually going to occur, which is about 1 minute in from this particular clip. And this particular truck is a rear loader garbage truck. Has 3 cameras, one on the inside, of course, the rear camera and the front camera. So you can actually customize that to however you want it to be. You can go up to 8 cameras on a truck, but this particular one is set up with 3. So just wanted to mention that as well.
Which camera should we be watching?
The rear.
The rear camera right there where she's pointing.
And what exactly are we looking at?
Well, this is going to be an accident where the truck is going to get rear-ended. see the car pulling up at a rapid pace, right about there.
So,
Yes. So, that event was automatically recorded with the third eye camera system. And of course, you have the option to pull that footage as well based on when it happened, what time it happened. But because it was an event based on impact, that was automatically recorded.
so the city of Oxford received this video in real time because of, I'm going to show you this. Hang on. It's a list of, there we go. So the city of Oxford received that in real time because they customized inside of their user portal to receive certain event notifications of, in that circumstance, it was a collision, so they were able to adhere to that accident in a timely manner to make sure that everybody else was kept safe. But they were able, you can receive alerts if your drivers are using cell phones, if they're going above the speed limit, not wearing their seatbelt, ultimately to keep the drivers inside of the vehicle safe, but also what's happening outside, because without video footage, that driver could have easily said that the big huge truck in front of them slammed on their brakes, and it's easy to blame the driver who doesn't have full vision of what's going around. And so the video footage completely eliminated the potential fault being on that driver. So I just wanted to be able to show you guys the specific events you guys could receive in real time in your email.
And as you can tell, there's a ton of different notifications that you can choose from. Driver seat belt, following too close, speeding, smoking, hard turn. So it's a very good customization in terms of what you would like to see. And you can choose, pick and choose whatever you like, so you don't get notifications on every single thing. I think most recently, there was an event over at Golden Triangle Waste where a gentleman was killed, unfortunately, on the back of a rear loader. And because it was all captured with that third eye camera system, we were able to see that the driver was doing everything he was supposed to do in that process, and thus, making sure that, there was no liability on him or Golden Triangle based on that event. So it comes in handy, as you can tell, and it really exonerates a lot of potential lawsuits and situations that could occur from not having that system put in place. So anyone have any questions whatsoever? I know we kind of did a presentation last time we were here, and just wanted to follow up and bring that to you as well.
Council, any follow-up questions for Mr. Smith?
It also preserves it if the driver's negligent, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely hold drivers accountable as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you take disciplinary action.
You mentioned it before, what was the price like? Was that per truck, per year? What are we looking at price-wise?
So installments is a one-time cost, and then you would pay a monthly subscription fee per month per vehicle.
Is that based on how many vehicles you have? Do you get it cheaper, or is it just a set fee per vehicle?
It's a set fixed price per vehicle. So the safety module that you would see here is $55 a month per truck, which includes the GPS tracking, the being able to pull the footage, but also receive alerts for everything. You can see where the truck has been, where it's going.
And what is the initial setup fee? Is it based on what we choose to put in the truck?
Yes,
That is
so,
correct.
yes, so there's no, the cost of installment would depend on how many cameras you would prefer to be on a vehicle.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you all very much. We appreciate you coming back
Thank you
to
once
see us.
again for your time.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
And hope you guys have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
some students here though.
While they're stepping away, Pastor Leach, you'll be up next to update the council on the Superfund cleanup site.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
So, today is a little bit different. The last time I came to you, I talked to you about, some potential redevelopment and some funds we may be able to apply for. This one's a little bit different. This one is just basically for one of two reasons. One is just for information. And then the other one is it could be a call to action depending on what you think about the information that we get. So, about a month and a half ago, the EPA developed what's called the proposed plan, where they told us what they're gonna do to remedy the south side of the site, or the main site, or the main plant. And so that main plan is divided into two units. It's called operating unit 3 and operating unit 5. And in the proposed plan, they said, these are the things that we're gonna do to remedy those sites, and when those are done, we kind of consider the job done, so to speak. And so, as we went through and poured over their proposed plans, I'm gonna tell you some of the things that they're proposing, and then I'll tell you kind of how we feel about those things. And they've opened it up to what's called a comment period, where we can go to the EPA and tell them whether this is something we like, or this is something that we don't like. If it's something that you do like, you don't have to make a comment, you can just let it go. If there's something that concerns you, they expect at this time for us to make comments and let them know that we're concerned about those things. These comments are what informs their actual proposed plan. So they have a proposal that they're presenting to us. We get to look at the proposal, tell them how we feel about it and any adjustments we want to make. Based on what we say, they may or may not make some changes. If we make a compelling argument, it could definitely impact how they do the proposal or what they issue as a proposal. So what I want to do is briefly tell you, just in summary, what they're planning to do with the two operating units. The first one being operating unit 5, because it's the simplest one. And operating unit 5, which is if you were going into the site, into the main site, it would be the front, when you first go in. So it'd be the north side of the south side, if that makes sense. So the north side of the main plant. So if you're turning in off 14th Avenue, it will be what you hit when you first turn in off 14th Avenue. That's operating unit 5. Now, operating unit 5 is considered to be relatively safe. And so the only remediation that they're saying they want to do on that is no action and coupled with soil maintenance, which means no action, but we're going to do little stuff to make sure that everything is okay. Now, we think that's insufficient, because if it's okay, they should just say it's okay. If it's not okay, they should say it's not okay and do what they need to do to make it okay. But the way that they've left this, they said they put the ball kind of in the city's court, in our court. They said that if for some reason we decide on what we want to use the site for, then they will come back and do an additional proposed plan later. And to me, that feels an awful lot like kicking the can down the street. And so, in our comments, we're going to say we don't think that's acceptable. What we think they need to do is they need to go ahead and make the site ready for use. So if there are small things that need to be done to fix it, fix the small things. If there are big things that need to be done, tell us about them so we can be concerned like we need to. But we don't want to be left with, we're just going to do an engineering soil maintenance kind of program and relatively no action. Any questions about operating unit 5 before I go on to the big dog?
So they're not giving us a letter or anything saying that it's 100% safe?
They are not going to, not on this one.
They're going to lower any future lawsuits and all that stuff from it if we did were to go forward with it.
Well,
They're not giving us anything like that, right?
Exactly. It's a little bit more problematic than that, because what it does is it says, now think about this, it's like a catch-22. They say, if you tell us what you want to use it for specifically, we will develop another proposed plan. Now think about the marketing nightmare that will be. If we're trying to market that to a developer and we say, you tell us, if you come, we will build it, is basically what we're saying. And when you think about any commercial sites, they're just not done that way. The commercial sites are built ready to use, and then we start asking customers and tell them the list of use that they can do for it. So that provides that kind of catch-22 for us. And so if we can respond to this in a couple of ways. One, and this is why I came to this group. One is we're going to respond as a CAG, but I'm also going to respond as an individual, because any individual citizen can make comments. But it's a little bit more powerful when you come as a group. And I thought the city would be able to do the same thing. If the city responds as a group and say, we don't like this for this reason, then that would be helpful. That would be helpful. That's OU5. OU5. Any questions about that? Now, we had this meeting about a month and a half ago where they did this. It was public, not very well attended, so I don't think everybody understands the full, the repercussions of us not fully engaging on this at this point. Because if we say nothing, then they will do what they said they're going to do. And we personally don't. We're going to say something. We personally don't feel that it's adequate. Any other questions before I go to the next part? Because the next part's a lot more detailed. So the next part is their plan for operating unit number 3. Now that's the southeast side of that main site. That's going over toward the cemetery. It's the part that where the main plant was, where they did the actual production. They laid the stuff out there. So in OU3, they have deep pockets of it's called DNAPL. It's a I don't want to get into the details of the technical stuff, but it's what we would call creosote. It has deep pockets of what we would call creosote. Now, they have 2 sections there. They have what they call the primary source area, and then they have a secondary area that's called the secondary source area. The primary source has a great concentration of this stuff, and then in the secondary, it kind of trickles off. Underneath there, there's a water aquifer that also has the DNAPL in it, or what we call the creosote. And so what they're proposing in that is several things in terms of remedy. The first one is they want to build a vertical barrier wall, which means they want to encapsulate. If you think about it, if you think about this place being open, but they're finding it in this location, then they're saying, let's build a wall around that location and kind of put it in a bowl so that it doesn't go out. So the vertical barrier wall will go off, and also the way they're proposing it is it would prevent the DNAPL from leaving the aquifer in that part where they are. So it's also down in our shallow aquifer, in the shallow water table. The other piece they're talking about doing is what's called an engineered soil cover, which amounts to about 12 inches of dirt being put on top of there, which I don't have to tell you, that's not very deep. Anybody that builds anything knows that 12 inches is just not very, very deep. And then the third thing they're proposing is phytoremediation, which means they're going to plant trees. And the trees will act to kind of regulate the aquifer to a degree. It'll regulate the water so that the water doesn't flow out of the aquifer into the other areas. And then the last part is, and I love this, institutional controls, which basically means they will leave it up to you guys to determine what it can be used for later. So think about that. What that could be saying is, we're not gonna, it won't be fully ready for use, but you'll be responsible for telling people they can't use it for certain things. Does that make sense? And that didn't make sense. Ask questions.
Well, it makes sense in that everything I hear is that this is not a safe place. It's still contaminated. So the sense it makes when I look at all of the friends and relatives that I've lost in this site, it is no way I could feasibly see that we as a city, and I'm only one voice, could vote for anything to be over there unless you're going to plant a tree there.
Right. That would be true definitely for that space at this point. But remediation of sites and reuse happens all over the country. And it doesn't just happen all over the country. What really happens that really damages our communities which is like a two-edged sword, because what happens at the very beginning is the property value is devalued because of the stigma associated with what happened to it before. But then after the remediation occurs and the EPA clears it, it's clear for use. Once it's clear for use, the property is usually bought up for pennies on the dollar. After it's bought up for pennies on the dollar, it's redeveloped for much more than pennies on the dollar. Once the redevelopment occurs, it doesn't affect the people that redeveloped it because they know what they were getting. It affects grandmama and granddaddy next door, whose property values all of a sudden go up, which brings their tax base up. So what we have to do, the reason we're proposing to do anything over there is to control that. We want to make sure that we're not inadvertently causing the citizens who have been damaged for 50 years plus to continue to be damaged even in the redevelopment process. Once the EPA clears it, it's clear.
When can the EPA come in front of us? When can we get EPA up here to ask them some questions?
That's a good question. I didn't come to defend them. I came to tell you.
No.
Yeah.
You talk to them and stuff like that. So when can they come and we ask them some of these questions that you may not have the answers to?
I don't know, but I could check for you.
And the other thing too is a lot of time it's not what a person say, it's
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you hear. And what I hear is EPA is not willing to clear this site. They are willing to do some remediation. They are willing to build a barrier. They are willing to put soil on it. I mean, even if you build a house, you have to dig deeper than 12 inches. So I don't hear anything that EPA is willing to do to protect the citizen on that side of the town if they become involved in that site.
Absolutely. So initially, the EPA is not paying for this. Initially, the Greenfield Trust is paying for this. So they have a pocket of money that's left, and they're trying to get as much bang for their buck as they can.
I'm not here to give you a hard time, but it's not about who paid. It doesn't matter how much money is there, who paid it,
Right.
and whether they're willing to pay. Are you willing to spend money to put people's life in danger?
Yeah,
And that's my concern.
well, and the reason I'm coming to you is to say you should be concerned about that. And also what you have to do is take definitive action, though, to tell them what you want. And here's why it's important that we do it now. Now think about what I told you. What I told you is they said that when we get ready to use it, they'll do another proposed plan. Well, we're not going to be in the same kind of funding climate that we're in now. Let me say that a little bit differently. It's a little bit easier to get money now than it may be a year from now or 2 years from now. So what we have to do is we have to get clear on what we want them to do and tell them what we want them to do. So when we bring the EPA back, I will be asking questions along with you about why won't we do it this way as opposed to that way. But I wanted to inform the council today so that you could start saying that. You could say that to EPA. We want this to be different for these reasons. We want that to be changed for those reasons. And I'd be glad to talk to you and give you as much as I know. But the comments will still be up to you. We're going to make comments. I'm saying you should too. You should tell them you don't like.
What is the website where it's already up where people can go and make comments?
Can I give that to Joe so we can get that to everybody? I don't know it off the top of my head. In the papers that I have that in, I left them at the house.
Which anybody in the city can go on and make comments at this
Anybody.
point.
Now, the easiest way to make the comments are to email them to Mr. King or Ms. LaTanya Spencer. Those are the easiest ways to make comments. You just email them to them. And if you get them in by December 16th, they'll be marked. And your comments can be as detailed as you want to, or they could be as simple as you want to. They could be simple as, I don't like it,
And they're taking it down on December 16th? Is that what you're saying?
That will be the close of the comments period unless we ask for another extension. We asked for an extension from November 16th to December 16th. Now, if we ask for another extension, there's a chance we could get it.
Do we have any idea how many comments they've received?
I don't know. I could ask though. But I don't know.
Joe, be sure and get those email addresses too, and we'll get those up for people.
Yeah, you can put it, send it to me, I'll put it posted along with this meeting.
Perfect. Any questions? Anything else? But Mr. I agree with you 110%. It is concerning. What we should do is we should make sure that while we can, that we tell them what we want so that we can get that, so that we don't leave that as a permanent eyesore in that community. I don't think we want a permanent eyesore in the community. community. All right, thank you guys so much for your
Thank
time.
you. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Next, we have Mr. Lewis to come up and talk about capital improvements with Columbus Parks and Rec.
Galloway and Chandler.
Come on.
Galloway Chandler.
Come on up.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just came before you today to talk to you about the quotes that I received, that I've turned in you, and I think you have copies of them. And that's to do the flooring at the Townsend Community Center. It's gonna be the vinyl flooring, similar to what's at Sim Scott. I received 3 quotes. Of course, all 3 of the quotes were above what we anticipated in our budget. But I am able to go ahead and do one of the buildings, which would be the Townsend, and then I will come back in talking to all of the people that received a quote. They felt that the tile at Sandfield was sufficient and there was nothing wrong with it. So we're going to go with a high gloss finish on that, kind of like what the school floors look like, and they look very nice. But I did want to you all to entertain the 3 quotes that we have, and if there are any questions.
I believe y'all have the quotes in front of you, council,
Okay.
and we'll vote on this Tuesday night. Any questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg. Mr. Malk, can you come up, please, sir? Galloway Chandler McKinney Insurance.
Mayor, council, staff.
Thanks for letting me be here today. And we're here to discuss the property insurance renewal for the upcoming year, 2024. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. Good news is we have.
Close to Christmas.
It is. Good news is we have a proposal for consideration. Bad news is we marketed this to 10 other carriers, all of which declined to return a bid. So what you have before you is the proposed renewal from the incumbent companies. You'll notice on the first page is the list of changes to the property coverage, okay? Some things are changing in the property coverage for this year for the renewal. The liability coverage, all of that is fine, it's staying the same. The deductible for the all peril is going up to $25,000. The wind hail deductible is going to $50,000. A margin clause has been added to the blanket coverage. We've increased some values on the buildings to bring them up because of that margin clause, that requirement that was added. Any roof over 15 years old will be actual cash value settlement at claims time. And the Regal Hall next to the Civic Center will be an ACV basis, since it's mostly vacant all the time, being there's not an office located in there with the building occupied on a daily basis, okay? If you'll flip over to the first tab is the quote proposal. You'll see the current expiration and valuation.
What page is that?
It will be the package tab, the page right after the package tab. Okay, the expiring policy is expiring, the premium for this current expiring year was $458.69. The renewal is coming in at $518,849. All the changes in the property limits and stuff are reflected in that pricing. And I'll open it to your questions for any concerns that you may have.
Any questions, council?
And you saying that, you sent out bids to 10 other,
Yes, sir, and I have the names if you would like.
and you didn't receive none.
None.
Is there an increase throughout the country that we seeing here, or it's not just local, this is?
This is countrywide. There is a reduction in capacity within the industry. And so there's less of it. Prices have gone up industry-wide. We delivered a renewal yesterday that had increased 25%. We got renewal quotes in this year that have doubled. So it's affecting everybody. Homeowners, personal lines, not related to this, but if the roof's over 5 years old, we just about can't write it.
You said you had good news and bad news, so, I guess let me get to the bad news. So we really don't have no other option. That's what you're telling us.
Yes, sir. You don't have another option.
So this is for all the properties throughout the city,
Yes, sir, this is the property coverage and the liability coverages.
park and recreation for everything.
Yes, sir.
When you say,
Question,
Yes, ma'am.
You said that the value had gone up, what percentage? Since the price has gone up, you said the value of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
building has gone up. What percentage has they increased?
In total valuations on the
Yes.
policy, we've gone from 31,300,000 to 35,356,765. That's because we had to bring the values up because of the margin clause that was added to the forms to try to eliminate any co-insurance penalties that could occur at claim settlement time, should something happen.
what does the 110% margin clause mean?
There's a copy of it for you in the back, but basically, you got an extra 10% over the valuation that the building is listed at on the schedule for in case some repair costs come in over that. And then anything after that, you get into co-insurance penalties, or basically you're paying it out of pocket.
Any other questions, council?
Yeah, just a question for Mr. Jim or Ms. Pat. We looking at an increase here, right? So, I mean, we got that, we covered.
The budget for this particular area was, set, I anticipated an increase.
You did? Okay, good.
Right, the budget's at 500,000, so we're almost 19,000 above that. We will have to do a budget amendment for maybe 19,000.
In other words, what he's saying is that the 458 before, you went up $50,000, basically, and we're still a little shy of that with this bid.
I just had, we had met to discuss this the other day.
Yes, sir.
And after I saw it, I went out and did some studying, just general insurance, property insurance trends, and the different insurance journals and stuff, and everyone's talking about increases in the 20 to 25% for good insurance. For those who have had large losses, it could get to 150% increases in insurance because of the just storm damage and the losses the insurance world is suffering right now. So we'll be okay.
Unless we have a roof claim on a roof that's over 15 years old, then we might have another problem, because we're only gonna get ACV on and you can't buy a used roof, you're gonna have to buy a brand new roof.
You are correct.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Paving update, Mr. Stafford?
Mayor and Council, I don't have a whole lot to update you with, just a reminder reminder, I've given y'all your list and look forward to riding with you. I've had a couple of you get back with me, but the sooner we get your feedback, the sooner we get to bid. And we're still aiming for, you know, if y'all got us by the end of this year, we can still make the end of next year being January for bidding, so that we can have contractors on the street starting March and April. So that's our goal, but just an update to y'all. And again, myself, Zach, Cody, email, phone call, ride in the car, sitting at the office at the desk. Any way y'all want to do it, we're happy to do that.
What's the drop dead deadline for them
Oh,
though?
I hate giving folks drop deads, but by the end of this year, you know, so I know I gave it to you right after Thanksgiving, and between now and Christmas, it's always tough. So those who have responded, we're still cutting out your list and whittling it down. So we are doing a little bit of work toward it, but not a lot. We're kind of in a holding pattern as y'all make your decisions, and be glad to discern that with you as y'all get to it. But just a reminder that we are kind of in that holding pattern, but ready to do it.
So you're saying December 31st?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Jamie.
While you there, Kim, let me ask you a quick question. I know it's not on here. You had sent out something a few weeks ago to you, Greg, about the bedding around the East Columbus gym. You had got some bids or something? Where we at with that now?
So, so a couple things on East Columbus. There was two bids on the landscaping, came in close to our budget amount. However, in discussing afterwards with Ms. Jamie, this time of year, once you get in your first couple of frosts, the soil conditions get too temperature-wise below to have a good, successful planting. And so the contractors are a little nervous about that, but we said, you know, even better than that, if we're gonna wait till the spring, Public Works can buy those plants and put them in at that time. There are not a lot of plants. So if we plan ahead, I know they're gonna do a spring purchase of plants as well, as we always do. So we can have that done inside of there and save money. And of course, looking at the bigger picture of all the park and rec objectives that are out there. The other piece is, I know Greg is looking at flooring. He has some quotes on that are at budget, so we feel good about that. And then also on the lighting for putting LED in the gym, those came in under budget. So those are all good for East Columbus Gym coming in so far. And then your track aspects, we also have lined up in the paving side of things, since there potentially be asphalt, or we're not bid for it yet, but we're gonna put that in as part of the paving side in the overall asphalt bid, and then we'll also get an epoxy track quote as well, so you can see the difference.
Thank you. Just one more question, Mr. Mayor. I know it's not on the agenda. While we was in Atlanta, I think we had a gentleman to call. I think we made a talk to you, Ms. Garrett, Jim, Greg, about some benches that we was looking at while we was in Atlanta. Any update on that or anything?
I can get a call on
Great, Ms. Lewis. I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis.
Those are the green benches, and I think I forwarded some of that information to some of the council, but those are the green benches, and they're giving them away free. They will give you one, and it possibly could be another one. And Ms. Garrett, these are the benches where we were trying to figure out where we would place them in town, possibly place them one downtown. But I did respond the same day that I got the email from the councilman, and she is setting up a call where she can come and talk with me. And on these benches, I think it's a pretty good deal, because you can put advertisements on these benches, and the city can make money, the park can make money off of these benches. But I think it is something that I definitely want to do, even if I have to come back and have to try to purchase some of those other benches. But we are looking into that, and I have made contact with them, and she has responded.
So I don't think Mr.
They do have charging stations on them as well.
Yes, they have charging stations. I mean, there's some nice benches, but they have charging stations, and then on the back of it, you know, people can advertise, so on and so forth.
For advertising too.
Yeah.
So we could put one at the dispatch, huh?
Ms. Garrett asked that I can request from her to do a Zoom so that everyone can see, because they do try to come. They set the benches up, they do it all. And right now it's actually free. Now, how long that's going to be? It's a company. I want to say
they free, the advertisement pay for it, but
you pay for the advertisement.
it's free
but
to
the
us, but the advertisement pay for the bench and pay them for all of their you know, whatever they have in it.
So we could do something like that after the holidays, which may be possible.
We'll see, you didn't bring her. Will they come here?
They will have someone to come here. They did say that.
Yeah, they said that.
Because they have to come. They want to see where it's going. They don't want us to tell us that we're going to put it in a high traffic area and then there's no traffic there. So they want to see where we want to place these benches.
They've been using them on a lot of college campuses and different places.
And also, I want you to know that we found this company through our colleague, Councilman Beard. He's the one that saw this company and got the ball rolling
That's who
and
you, that's who
he
you,
got us involved in it.
That's who emailed me when he was down there, he emailed me that day. Mayor, somebody left a phone.
It's mine.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Moving to watershed, and that would be Ms. Garrett and Mr. Brown.
Okay. So, we got the watershed qualifications in, we only had received from 2 companies. And so, as always, there's nothing for us to do other than to give it to you all to make a decision.
All right, so they're gonna pass those out. Y'all can take them with you and review them. Do we have any other questions or comments? Our council meeting will be Tuesday, December the 19th, 2023, 5 p.m. Municipal Complex Courtroom. We invite all the citizens to join us. If you can't be there, you can watch us online. The next work session will be Thursday, December the 28th, 2023 at 10:30 in this location. We are adjourned. Thank you.